I'm going to solve this puzzle.
I already can solve it at the end.
Ghosts is not necessarily the scariest thing I've seen this month or this week or this today.
Ghosts is the TV show Community meets spirits.
Ghost is very familiar to me.
They're getting some hints already. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to. You guessed it, we are doing Ghosts on Paramount Plus. Today, our special guest co-ghost is Dr. Muhammad Noor. I just thought of that. I'm so pleased.
Woo! Hello. Always a pleasure to be on Watch the First.
We also have a very special guest today. I can't think of a pun with haunting, but it's Jennifer Durst, everybody. Jurassic Jennifer.
Jurassic Jennifer Durst.
All right.
Amazing.
Incredible. It's a howling good time. Okay. So you know what we're doing. This is the first episode of Ghosts entitled Pilot, and this is Horror Week. This is our Horror Month. This week is kind of less of a horror thing. October is horror time. So this has been suggested to us. Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel suggested this one, among others.
Love her.
And let's get into it. If you'd like us to review a show, remember, for October, it's horror time. So make a suggestion about something you like that's a horror show, and maybe we'll do it. Please give this video a like. Please subscribe to this channel. Give us 5 ratings on audio. And let's have some fun. Where do we start, Muhammad?
I think we might have to be put into a predicament.
Your thoughts, Jen?
My thoughts of being put into a predicament. Let's go.
All right. So Muhammad and I have known each other for quite some time, a few years. Jen and I have known each other for, my goodness, how long has it been?
It's been a really long time.
I'd say probably like
I don't know how long, but it's been long.
eight years-ish.
Probably. I've been in LA for about 14 now, so probably like 8-ish. Yeah. Maybe
Right.
9.
It seems to be your mode among the guests, Ryan. Usually it's around 8 for so many of the guests.
Yeah, you only know everybody for 8 years.
Yeah, because I get that 7-year itch, so it's about that time, Jen.
Oh, it's about that time. Bye.
So we can generally predict if the other person liked a show or not. And we're going to make our predictions now. Jen, I'm going to predict that you like this show wait a minute. Did you text me that you saw this show already? Wait, I'm checking right now.
I was going to say you're a cheater.
Hang on.
I have a big mouth.
I just remembered, like it just popped in my head that it feels like you said that.
Oh, I love that show or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, damn, I can't find it. All right, you're off the hook.
Just wait until later when I say how I feel about it, and then I'll tell you the truth.
Okay.
I'll tell everybody the truth because I know what I text you. I remember.
You remember.
How come I can't? Okay, whatever. We're wasting time.
The ghostly text.
It disappeared.
I have this recollection. It just popped in my head that I said Ghosts on Paramount, and you said, "Oh, I love that show," or something like that. And I said spoilers or something like that. I don't know.
I'll tell you later if that's true.
She's nodding. It did happen.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Well,
maybe not. Anyway, that aside, so that would mean yes, but that you do like this. But that aside, I also still, regardless, even if that didn't happen, I just imagined it. I think you did like this show. And I think you gave us a hint when you said it was familiar, because maybe that means you've watched it already. That's another guess.
Or I see ghosts. That's why. And then it brings me PTSD, so you don't know.
That's true.
It could be too scary to me.
Maybe that's what it is.
It's too scary.
So I predict that you like this. Muhammad, I predict that you also like this, and that you were very pleased when this was immediately a comedy and not like a horror show like the last.
You have to watch so many.
So I think you are very happy about that, Mohammed. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to predict similarly for Jen. Actually, I was already, even without knowing the text, I was thinking, I bet Jen likes this show. Ryan, you're harder because you appreciate a good story, but you often see things that bug you that are things that I don't necessarily pick up until you explain them. Like, oh, that is true. I just come in kind of uncritical, whereas you're like, this could have been better, the lighting design and the direction. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess that's true. So I'm like, yeah, it's okay. So, I still think you liked it okay. I still don't think, I mean, you knew, I'm assuming going into this, that this was not like a hard horror thing. So I don't think it would ruin your expectations in that regard. So I think you probably took it as a comedy. And my guess is you're going to be more like in the 7 range, whereas I think Jen might be higher. Jen might be in the high 8s. So I think you might be flat 7. But those are my guess, my predicaments.
Ooh.
I
think
I'm still looking for that text, by the way. I'm like, I couldn't have imagined.
I'll tell you, just wait till the end and I'll tell you what it actually said. So anyway, I think Ryan, I think you liked it, but I think you're going to give it a lower score than what it actually deserves, like in your mind. So like you like it, but you're going to give it like a lower score. Like you're going to say good things about it, but then you're going to go, but I still give it like a 6 because of this one thing. That's how I see Ryan's going to go. I think Muhammad liked it too. And especially that I know that you have to keep watching really scary stuff. This might bring a little comedy in your life for October. So I think you liked it. I don't think you like loved it, but I think you liked it. So I would say like 7 or 8, maybe.
There are too many ways of communicating nowadays. Now I was checking, maybe it was a phone call. I got my phone. I'm like, did I talk to Jen? I couldn't have imagined this. Okay. Oh, maybe it was when, never mind. I'm going to just
figure it out.
I know what it is. So I'm just going to wait.
Keep checking. Maybe that text didn't go through my computer because it was during a time I was recording or something. Maybe it's in my phone. So anyway, I'm going to check that. I'm going to solve this puzzle.
I already can solve it at the end.
Ryan wants to solve it first because he's watched it first.
Exactly.
Now everybody's like, this is weird. I thought we were going to talk about ghosts, but I don't see Whoopi. I don't see Demi Moore or whatever that dude. Patrick.
We're going to snuggle up and do the little clay molding thing. Actually, I guess they referenced that too, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that in a minute.
They actually
now, everybody, we're going to compare and contrast what we expected versus what we actually got. Okay? This is very important. Oh, yes.
But first, we should give people time to write in their predictions into the chat.
So right. I'm so caught up in like trying to find this text. So everybody, make your predictions right now. Do you think I liked this show or do you think I didn't like it and I'm just stalling with all this text talk because I don't want to talk about it? Do you think Jen liked this show? Because she obviously did, and we're going to find out this. Do you think Muhammad liked this because he's so happy that it's not like the last two that were kind of stressful shows? Put in your.
I like the last one.
I'm dying to see what you guys do for this month.
Put in your predictions in the live chat or in the comments below. While you're typing away on that, Dr. Muhammad Norris, he alluded to a minute ago, will buy you a little bit of time by telling us all what this show is even about.
Yeah, I'll give you a little bit of time. So, a 300-year-old house outside of New York City is home to a suite of ghosts from different eras. In this lighthearted comedy, Samantha and Jay inherit the home when Samantha's relative passes, and they consider fixing it up to be a bed and breakfast. The ghosts try to stop this, but an accident sends Samantha to the hospital. When she returns, she can now see and hear the ghosts.
Ooh.
Okay, I found the text. It was on my phone.
I just screenshotted
That's the minute you needed.
and sent it again.
Oh, yeah. You
Don't say anything yet. Wait till the end.
So she texted me that. Okay.
I just screenshotted the text to you too.
That's a cool shirt, by the way. Beetlejuice shirt.
I know.
Oh,
Don't
nice.
say it. Don't read it out loud. Then he'll come.
I got a Marilyn Manson shirt that I've had since I was like a teenager.
Ooh.
So it's
I
about.
don't have any horror shirts. Sorry, I have like Duke Datathon or something.
I just wore the shirt because I saw Beetlejuice on Broadway, and then I saw the movie again at Outdoor Movies. So
Oh, cool.
popular shirt this month.
I've never seen Beetlejuice.
What?
Wow.
You have to watch the first, but in movie form.
Movie. So sorry.
When
you can watch the Beetlejuice cartoon. Watch the Beetlejuice cartoon. Watch the first.
Terrible. But okay. Suggest everybody in the comments below WTF Beetlejuice cartoon, and we will review it. Maybe.
That's a good one for October.
A couple weeks left.
Yeah.
So anyway, Mohammed, let's get back on track here. You got to say this here. What time is it now?
Well, we have to compare what we expect with what we actually got in something I like calling expectation.
Jen really liked that one. She's like, ooh, this is going to be a recording today. Okay, so we're going to compare and contrast what we expected versus what we actually got. Mohammed, before you watch this first episode of Ghosts on Paramount Plus entitled Pilot, like every first episode is called Pilot, what did you expect, if anything?
Actually, it's funny. I was looking on IMDb earlier about something for Everybody Hates Chris, and the pilot episode for that is called Everybody Hates the Pilot.
Oh, that's so funny. That's creative.
That was very funny. Yeah, for Ghosts, I'd never heard of it before. I think I mentioned it at lunch with some folks who work with me, and one of them said, "Oh, it's a funny comedy. I like that a lot." So I heard that much, but beyond that, I didn't know anything at all about the plot, like zero. So I went in very, very, again, blanks. I know this has been true for all of this month so far. I apologize, but didn't know anything about it except that it was comedy and my friends liked it.
That's the absolute best, though, going into something without anything about it.
Yeah.
Well, Jen, before you watch this first episode a second time, what did you expect?
Or fifth.
Wow, I don't remember how I felt the first time that I watched it or what I expected. No, I actually was seeing like on Hulu, I think it was Hulu, they had like little things of it. And I love like supernatural stuff and I love so I didn't know, like just looking at the thing, like, is it comedy? Is it like whatever? And then I saw a trailer to it and I really liked it, but I didn't have Paramount Plus at the time. So I was like, okay. So then I went on a plane. I think I was going to New York. I think it was like February or something. And they had 4 episodes of the British version of the show, which is the original. Did you know that?
I saw that online afterwards. I didn't know it before.
So I watched all 4 episodes of that, the British version, which didn't know like if I was going to like it or not. But I got curious after that to see if the American version was anything like it. So that's kind of like my expectations were kind of like, oh, am I going to, there really was no expectations. It was kind of like comparing the two. But I was very excited to see it because I like supernatural stuff, seeing ghosts, all that stuff. And I love comedy. So I was expecting to really enjoy it.
So you didn't watch it when it first came out. You didn't watch it when it first came out in 2021.
No, I just watched it now. And I watched like I said, I watched the British version first, but the only reason why I watched it first was because I knew about this version. It was really confusing. It was almost like I manifested the British version to be on the plane. And then I go, oh, this is not the American version. And then I just kept watching the British version.
What a terrible thing to manifest.
No, it was great.
British WTF Manifest. There's that TV.
Because I've been wanting to see it, so I manifested some type of version of it to watch.
I understand.
And now I have Paramount Plus, so
finally you can watch Star Trek with us.
Star Trek.
You guys, Jen's not a Star Trek fan, but we're gonna make her one. You know what? I bet you she would like Prodigy. I bet you that's the one that will get her into it. We'll make her watch Prodigy. And then we'll make her watch Lower Decks just to be like, you know.
I actually started watching Lower Decks.
Oh. Did you love it? Well, wait, let's.
Okay.
All right. Sorry. I'll tell you all what I expected before I watched this first episode of Ghosts. All I knew, I believe Anne-Marie Siegel, Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel, said something about it being really sweet or that maybe she cried, or like, I think she mentioned crying or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know what that means. I think she cries a lot. So who knows?
There was a weirdly intense scene in the middle, so it's fair.
Yeah, and I knew that it was short. I knew that it was 22 minutes, so it made me think, hang on a second, is this like a comedy? Like, is this, because usually comedies are like, it's probably not going to be an actual horror show if it's 22 minutes, you know what I mean? But hey, whatever. We've done a couple really solidly horror type shows earlier in the week, or in the month, I should say. So I didn't really expect anything other than supposedly it's pretty good, I guess. That's it. But that's what we expected. What did we actually get, Mohammed?
I loved it. I thought it was great. And you were exactly right, Ryan. I definitely appreciate, I think both of you guys said this actually, you too, Jen, said that I would appreciate the break from the hardcore horror. Yes. No, I thought I found it very entertaining. It was a strong ensemble cast. The folks who are behind me here, I thought it was a strong ensemble cast that they played off each other very nicely. They did the standard thing that's often true. This is the reason I had referenced Community in my introduction thing. It was very hardcore on the stereotypes for things. So each one had like a very, hardcore persona that matched some sort of stereotype. I thought that was great. I thought the plot was kind of interesting. I mean, it wasn't the deepest plot, but it's also a 20-minute show. Like, how deep can you get in a 20-minute show? The HGTV references had me laughing several times, as did several other scenes. There was, like I said, there was that one scene there after, what was her name? Samantha. After Samantha was in the accident, that was weirdly kind of like dark and still for a long time. Like, oh, this is a little heavy, but then it just went back to super light again. And I love the fake out ending there at the end where, well, I'm getting too much into the details, but I love the fake out ending where he was sitting there with the doctor and it was all sad, but it turned out it was because exactly because the Knicks had lost the game. That was very funny. So yeah, I was very entertained.
Wow, high praise so far. Jen, what do you think? What did you actually get upon viewing this first episode?
Like I said, I watched the British version first, and I actually love the British version. So I even love this one even more. The American version. It's very similar, but there's some similar characters. Like I think Pete is there, like the same thing happens in the British version, but there's some different characters in the British version compared to this. But I kind of forgot the characters in the British version, but I enjoyed these characters so much, just like you, Mohammed. Like it's like perfect, like their lines are perfect, their writing's perfect with each character. They just play it really well. So I enjoyed it. And so the text was right, what you said. When you said, I love this show.
Yeah, it was weird because it didn't show up on my computer, which is where I was checking. But when I checked on my phone, there it was. So it must have been a time where I wasn't receiving text on my computer, because I was like, I don't think I just imagined text.
And I was like, it was literally like 4 text message lines ago. So how is he not seeing it?
Right. That's what I was saying. How am I missing this? And if I'm going to imagine text conversations between us, they better be funny. And that's so.
No, you just were like, oh, we're going to watch Ghost. And I went, oh, yes, I love that show.
Yeah.
Not even knowing which one it was, the British one or the American one.
Oh, true. Good point.
See?
WTF Ghost, the British version, I guess, everybody.
I think you guys should compare it.
So let me tell you what I actually got upon viewing this horror show. Well, I got a show that was not scary at all. It wasn't even spooky. It wasn't even creepy. It wasn't tense. It wasn't stressful. It wasn't mysterious. I guess it was a mysterious.
It was perfect.
Kind of debate. But it was very good. It was a very good show, and I enjoyed it very much. Good job. Good job to CBS for doing this. It's a great one. Did the British version come out first, Okay, so they don't get all the credit.
I think the British, I could be mistaken, but I think the British one came out maybe a year or two before this one. I could be wrong, but I think so. But that's why, but yeah. But I wouldn't have watched the British one without being on the plane, so I manifested it, see.
Does this show, well, we'll talk about the rest of the show later, but I want to know if this show makes you cry, Jen, but save that answer for later, because I don't, otherwise that's another thing I imagined. Or wait, no, that I didn't imagine. Anyway, Muhammad, did this episode make you cry?
No, it definitely did not make me cry. Not even close. I was very engaged through the whole thing. I felt very tight on the thing. I felt like the stressful thing was a little bit longer than I may have wanted, just because it was so light, and then it's like heavy, and then light. Okay, so the heavy was a little funny in there, but yeah, it didn't bother me.
Yeah. What about you, Jen? Did you cry or laugh at all?
It takes a lot to make me cry, but I do have to say that just like Muhammad said, when that happens to her, they have like the voiceover of the ghost talking about kind of like their past like experiences and losing a loved one or being the last, like if you get in an argument and you leave home, that kind of gets you a little emotional. I wouldn't say I cried, but you get that feeling of like, oh my God, it's right. And you get a little like choked up a little bit. So I got a little bit choked up. I don't remember how I felt the first time I watched it, but when I rewatched it, I remember I got like a little choked up. I was like, oh. And then it makes you just
like a little choked up right now too. Your eyes are fluttering.
Do you call relatives and say like, I want to say I love you one last time, just in case?
They're like, I've been dead for 5 years, man. Leave me alone.
But then, like Muhammad said, it also like you're going through that and you're like, oh, that's so sad. And then it gives you that relief. You know how like sometimes like in horror shows you're like tense and then you get like a little comedic thing going on and it relieves that, kind of what it did here with the like emotional part, which I love. Like, and I think what's his name, Jay, he does a really good job at doing that a lot, where there's like a little bit of a sadness and then he like brings in some kind of like joke. Yeah, Jay. So, and actually I read because I was really into the show, I read that people didn't like him and that character, and I thought he's like freaking amazing in it. Yeah.
I thought he was good.
I thought he was so good. I wonder why. I mean, there was a few people in comments that were agreeing and I was like, no, he's great.
He didn't do anything.
I think all of them are great.
He didn't do anything for me.
Oh, you were probably in the comments.
It wasn't like a major negative or anything, but I felt like the two living people were the least interesting, obviously, because they have the less interesting thing with which to work. But the lady Samantha, at least she added a little something, you know, like whether it was a sparkle in the eye or some charm or a little additional, you know, whatever. So I did like her. Yeah, I wouldn't say I didn't like him, but he was certainly lower on the, you know, on the totem pole as far as all the characters. But
to be honest, I think I liked him the second time I watched it more. Like I grew liking him throughout I'm giving spoiler alerts, but in the first episode, the first time I was just kind of like you were, I was just like, okay, he's just a character. But then the second time watching it, I actually like appreciated him more. But I don't know if that's because I just know his character more now or something like that. But
it also
I definitely appreciate
like characters start to, like the actors start to feel the character more and the writers feel the character more as episodes.
The storylines go,
they get better and stuff like that. This is just one episode.
I had to like give him this Atari shirt because I loved my Atari when I was a kid.
Yes.
So I was like, oh yes, my Atari with the one button and the joystick. It was so great.
Muhammad, what were your 3 favorite Atari games? We can't let this go. We have to address this.
Pitfall 2. The first Pitfall was pretty good, but Pitfall 2 was very good. I really liked that one. Even though it was super basic, I actually really liked Combat, the one that just came with it. It was super basic, but I mean, it was really good. I like the Adventure. Oh, it's one of the classic ones too. I have to go with that. I was gonna say Raiders of the Lost Ark, which was a pretty good game, but Adventure, that was excellent with the hidden room and the magic dot and all those things, and the weird little dragons that would just float down at you. You hit them with the little arrow to make them die. Oh,
nostalgia.
So many.
You see, Jen,
you guys.
An Atari was like a Nintendo back in the day.
I was gonna say I know Nintendo, but I'm not far
later.
from.
Yeah.
I know what an Atari is. I just don't know the games that go with it because I didn't play it.
I like Pitfall. I like Pitfall 2, and by 2 I mean TOO. I don't know if maybe I had Pitfall 2. I don't remember. Anyway, you're missing out, Jen. Oh, Dig Dug. Wasn't Dig Dug an Atari specialty?
It was an arcade game, and they had it on Atari too. Yeah.
And Donkey Kong. I don't know. Anyway,
Donkey Kong was the graphics on the Atari Donkey Kong were pretty terrible. I mean, it was a good game. But it was pretty terrible graphics.
Jen's getting pissed right now. So
now I was thinking of Nintendo days. Now with like Mario Brothers.
Oh, you could answer that then. What your 3 favorite Nintendo games?
Yeah, I'm in Nintendo world. But yeah.
Did you have favorite games Nintendo, Jen?
I used to love Super Mario Brothers.
Nintendo.
And I used to play Duck Hunt too. Shoot the ducks in the clays. Those are my favorite.
What were your favorite? Who was your favorite character on this show?
You just went straight. Who's going first?
Muhammad. Because I didn't like him as a person, but I thought Trevor did very well just as a character. I mean, it was a good stereotype. It was interesting stuff like that. But I mean, I would hate him as a person. So I guess I have to go with him just because, I mean, just in terms of performance and what he added. I mean, as opposed to the others, like, Thor was a little two-dimensional, some of those were a little two-dimensional. I felt like he had some depth to him.
You gotta keep watching.
Did they explain why Trevor died or why he had his pants?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll find out.
I'm sure.
So, yeah. That's why if you like Trevor, you gotta keep watching. You're gonna enjoy it.
Jen, who is your favorite character besides Trevor?
Actually, I have two that I really, to be honest, I enjoy them all, and like each one of them has their own thing that I like. So it's like hard to pick, but I really think like I love Pete and I love Thorfinn. They're just like stand out. They make me laugh. Like Pete is so nice and kind and interesting.
This one,
like
Pete?
You want to know? Yeah, Pete with the arrow.
Got it. Boy Scout.
And I just feel like he's kind of like the nice and kind guy that like keeps them together and like all that stuff. And then I love Thorfinn because I don't know, he really is that stereotype. And I think it's hilarious because he plays off of it so well. Like he just keeps bringing up like cod. And I love the fact that they don't know what roots are and all that stuff. And it's like so funny to see. But in all honesty, there's a bunch of them. I love them. Forgot what's his name. The one that's next to Jay. Is it Isaac, I think?
This guy?
Yeah.
It's Isaac.
He has a lot going with him too. It's just hard to pick. So. Yeah.
Oh, I like the blue singer lady too.
I have a least favorite, but I like.
Ooh, let's hear it.
I forgot her name. The flower power girl.
Yeah.
I just feel like she's.
Her name is Flower. Her name's Flower.
Oh, her name is Flower, right?
Yeah, this girl.
I like her. I think she's a good actress, but I just feel like the character just feels kind of like played out to me, and they put a lot into her lines that are just kind of like played out, especially in the first thing. Oh, she was in this, and she was in a cult, and she was in this, and it was just like so played out to me. I'm like, okay, maybe like one or two of those jokes would have worked, but it was just so many in the first episode. So
I was worried about that for Thor, but I'm glad to hear that he doesn't end up that way. Because I was worried it would just be like the same stuff the whole time. But given that you like him,
it's good. All of them get more depth to their characters too, and once you hear their stories, it's like so. That's why it's just great. I love my answer at the end, so.
I love the way it even just started. The whole episode started with that lady dying and them all assembling and saying, like, so we're the ones who are trapped. Oh, and she's gone.
And she's gone. That was really funny.
Who's your favorite, Ryan? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, not at all. There's a lot of stuff to cover because that was a great opening. It was. And it moved very quickly and you immediately get introduced to them. It's a nice twist at the beginning. It's funny. I did put in my notes, I said in capital letters, I put great setup in 9 minutes. Like it was like 8 minutes and 40 seconds and they stop for like a commercial break or whatever it was. And I was like, wow, 8 minutes and 40 seconds in and it's already a very good show. But my favorite character, and I am going to disagree with you so hard, Muhammad. Thorfinn, is very funny. And he
I
did.
don't disagree with that. I just worried he would play out too fast.
Yeah, I loved it all. I thought it was. I was surprised though that they gave him so many of the funny one-liners. Like you would think that they would split it amongst everybody. Everybody gets 3, but instead he got like 8. And Flower Power got like a few. She got more than her share as well. And then everybody else kind of got 1, or whatever. And the Flower Lady, actually one of the most memorable episodes, or one of the most memorable lines, I should say, was when she said, "Oh, you remind me of this couple I used to know in a commune, and also a couple I used to know in a cult." And I thought that was a very cleverly written line, because I'm like, yeah, what's the, where's the line between a commune and a cult? Really, I don't know. But so, and then when you think of some flower child from like the 60s or 70s, you could see her just kind of waffling between the two. She's in a commune today, then she's in a cult, then she's back in a commune later. Who knows? But that was really funny. And I do like the kind of humor where, you can kind of laugh at yourself, and that seems like that's what this is doing. Was that Steve Buscemi, by the way, in the basement?
I don't know who those guys were in the basement.
Remember, like they went down to a basement and there were like
the cholera people, whatever. Right?
And then, there were like 5.
No, I don't. That's not him. I don't think.
Look like him. I'm gonna check.
Check.
One thing I looked up in terms of Thor is basically whether the Viking expeditions got that far south. So I found out that apparently some spearhead was found in New York State, and back in 1929, that seemed to date back to Viking time. So I was like, oh, I guess it's possible he actually did. At first I was like, why would he even be there? But I guess it's possible.
Yeah, no, there definitely have been scientific, findings that have placed the Vikings in the Northeast, in the United States Northeast, and very likely recently they've been talking about them going all the way up through the Gulf of Mexico as well, through the Caribbean, by finding like evidence of them and bones and stuff like that up the Mississippi River. Fact check me on that, but I do remember reading that like a year or 2 ago. And there's also like stories like legend from the natives where there'd be guys coming up on boats that had red hair, and that's, and they're like Viking, described as like the same way as the Vikings. So anyway, they've been around. But yeah, I did for a second kind of do that thing as well, where I was like, wait a minute, no, that works. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Did you find the actor?
No. I got too busy trying to remember what the thing was with, but let me see. Well, I'm just going to look up Steve Buscemi because it sure looked like him.
I was curious about who those water heater people were, and like, why are they trapped in the basement where everybody else seems to be able to walk around?
Oh, you'll find out.
Ooh.
No, you're right. It's not him.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure. Too bad. I was wondering, I was like, I don't think Steve Buscemi would take like such a small role. I can't imagine he would do that because he's radical. But
he might.
I did love Thor's line of it. Reminds me of Torched Village about the city. That was a great line.
Or like when he said the salmon, he's like, oh, it'll be much like the salmon talk, but more cod
focused.
Yeah.
It's funny. Whatever. He's funny, you guys. Don't pick on him. He's funny as
no, it was funny. Like I said, I was just worried he'd play out.
My favorite.
Yeah.
Thorfinn.
I liked him in this episode, but I just worried that that would be as much as it goes.
Who was your least favorite, Muhammad?
I mean, I was very nervous about the Native American guy. He didn't really do much. I was a little nervous, like,
He didn't do much.
Nervous about him, but I guess I'd pick him. But I mean, there wasn't much there to decide.
And we forget about the guy who got his head cut, like who can't find his head.
Yeah.
He's just so forgettable.
Yeah, he was kind of forgettable. I forgot about him until you said that. Like, oh yeah, there was another guy.
Yeah, well, he was a ghost though, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was a ghost, and then they knocked his head off, and then he can't find his head now.
So ghosts can harm each other.
Yeah, something bumped it off his head. I can't remember what bumped his head.
Him.
Yeah.
I don't know if the ghosts, something bumped it off him. I forgot. I think they were like, because they could touch each other, I think.
Yeah.
They just can't like touch
It was an interesting concept that when people walk through them, that it somehow actually hurts them. Yeah, that was an interesting concept. Like, oh, I wouldn't have thought that would be true, but okay, because they can go through walls with no problem, but people are painful.
Because people have maybe because people have the ghost in them, like, so they're like bumping.
Yeah, maybe so.
Maybe it's an energy.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, so it is like.
You're not allowed to speculate, Jen. You know the answers.
No, I don't think they talk about that. I don't remember if they bring that up. Ooh, something almost fell. See, I got scared. I'm getting scared on this.
That one guy that can, what's
he just did that to my light.
That was Trevor.
It's Trevor, yeah.
Light, it might be Thorfinn. So I'll tell you what I really liked about the show, by the way, was that it gave me exactly what I wanted at the end. I was watching it. I was like, okay, this is cool. This is fun. This is cute. It's nice. But are the ghosts just going to be, are they just going to be commentary? Are they just going to be watching people do their lives and they're just going to be talking like the two old guys in the Muppets, or like, if you remember the old sitcom Herman's Head, they did commentary, but at least they also affected what was happening in the real life because they were in his mind, right? So I was worried that these are just ghosts that are having their own little thing and they're watching, how do they interact? How do these two things intersect? And I was like, one of these two people has got to be able to see the ghosts. Otherwise, I don't know if this show's going to work. And at the very end, when she looked and saw him, I was like, yes, I was actually very happy. I was surprised at how happy it made me that I'm like, they did it. They did exactly what I, as an amateur thought they should and needed to do to make this an enjoyable show. And, now I'm really excited about the show. I'm like, this is great. This is what I thought I wanted out of the show. And
they did it perfectly too. They did it so perfectly. How she's just in the house with the other workers, and then she just acknowledges him. And
how she saw him very briefly when she first had the accident. Like she looked up and saw him for that 1 second. It's like, oh, it was a great, like, oh.
I didn't even catch that.
She opens her eyes and they're like blurry behind her husband.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which I wasn't sure if that meant she was going to die or she was going to be able to see them. And I was hoping it was see them and not die, and she becomes one of the ghosts, because like that would be a lame turn of events.
Yeah, because then it just becomes Jay's story. Because I was worried about that too. I was like, if she dies, it's now Jay's story, which makes it it's more like her story. Like it would make it for a sweet moment if she's hanging out with them and she's watching Jay and he's doing the bed and breakfast for her. And she's like, oh, he's putting up the rubber ducky that we used to always play with. And oh, this is nice. And, then
like the movie Ghost.
Yeah.
But this is much better. This is a perfect premise, I think. I had a question, but I got so lost in praising this darn show.
How much you love it.
Yeah. Whoa, I did have a nitpick. What's her name? Samantha B comes back from the accident with a thing on her neck, right? Yet she spends the whole time going, oh my God, I can't believe why you did. And she's just jiggling her neck around. I'm like, can we at least pretend for 5 seconds that this thing is wrapped around your neck because your neck is in some way injured? Because if it's not in any way injured and you can do all this stuff, no problem, excitedly, then you don't need the thing. But anyway, I was kind of like, pick one or the other. Either go nuts with your neck or wear the thing around your neck, but you can't do both. So I was very upset about that.
That brought your score down. I knew it.
Maybe.
It brought your score down.
I actually didn't have any nitpicks on this. I just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Just had a good ride.
It's like one of those shows you want, like it is 22 minutes. So it's going to be fast, but there's 22-minute shows that you go, oh, why? I thought it was 22 minutes and it's taking forever. This is like, when it ended, I was like, oh, it felt like it was like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They did like a good job.
One final qualm I had with this, and I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing, but the first episode, oftentimes you're kind of hoping that what it's supposed to do is tell you what the show's about, give you a demonstration of, if you watch this, the first episode, you will know what to expect moving forward. and we kind of don't. Like, for example, is this
changing?
Is this going to be a show that is about the couple, you know, building the thing and the ghost just watching and her talking with them? Or is Samantha going to be just meeting each of the ghosts one by one and hearing their story? Or is it going to be every week there's a different house guest that comes to visit and the episode is about that house guest? And then if she has a problem with them or whatever, she talks with them. Or maybe she has problems with her husband or boyfriend, whatever they are. They have problems every week, and every week she has to get advice from the ghosts about, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know where it's going to go. And normally after the end of a first episode, you know what the formula is going to be. You know what it's going to be week by week, unless it's serialized. And I can't imagine that this thing is serialized. Maybe it is, but Jen totally knows. And is it serialized?
I'm just saying, I think it set it up enough for me. Because like it set it up enough to get the basis down of like, she sees them now and they're going to be, obviously they're not going to leave the house because then what happens to the show, right? So it's like this couple is in the house and she sees them. And I feel like that's what the show's about. So I feel like it sets it up perfectly for you to like want to see the second episode because it ends with her like screaming, but she literally saw all of them in front of her.
It's interesting. It's kind of like a light version of, do you remember the show Medium with Patricia Arquette?
Yeah, I love that show. This is why I love this stuff. And like Ghost Whisperer. Oh man, I love Ghost Whisperer. Watch the first Ghost Whisperer.
Or watch first Medium too. So that was Patricia Arquette's character could see the ghost, but her husband, who was this physics professor or whatever, he could not see the ghosts. So that was an interesting comparison. Actually, I did have one small nitpick, which was I thought the end scene where she was talking to Jay and the ghosts were coming through, I thought that went a little long. It's like, okay, we got it.
But it looked very like not photo. It looked very like fake. That part, like the graphics and everything were great throughout the whole show, and then that part when they're coming through the walls just looked so. That's the only nitpick I have. I felt you're right. I felt like it went long, and it looked like me right now, like like
the Zoom background. Yeah,
like I walked through and I'm like,
I mean, it wasn't that bad. Like it was, it could have been like
it wasn't horrible, but compared to like the rest of it, it just didn't. It felt like it didn't fit the way it looked.
That's right.
You guys are tough critics. Jen, we're going to talk about you for a moment here, if that's okay with you. And we're going to start with this question. You seem to be into a lot of ghost shows. Have you seen a ghost?
Ooh. What a question.
No, but I don't want to. And I think that's what's protecting me. But I've had experiences, like scary, weird experiences, but not seeing them. And I have this thing that I'm always like, well, I guess I could can I bring something in the show that connected, or do I wait till later?
Sure.
So the scene when she stages and they're not affected by it at all.
They're not at all. Yeah.
That's why I said so familiar to me, because I do that stuff and it scares the crap out of me. I'm like, maybe I'm not scaring away the ghosts because I'm staging and they actually like it. Yeah. So like, I feel like I'm very into that stuff where I believe in it, and I'm very like, oh, I'm going to protect myself. But I haven't really seen any, knock on wood, because I don't want to, but I always say, I don't want to see one. I don't want to see one. Please don't come to me.
You're like this.
I'm like, no. I'm like so creeped out. And then if somebody tells me something like that, but I've had experiences like voices and things like that. Yeah. Like when I was younger, I've heard a lot of like, I have some ghost stories, but like my mom, and once my mom told me this, I was scared. We grew up in a house in Brooklyn, and the house was connected to my great grandparents. So my mom lived there as a kid with her grandparents and so on. And there used to be an upstairs that if you go out the door, that you could see the upstairs, kind of like if you go out the second door. And my mom said she went on her first date And when the doorbell rang, she went to go walk to it. And when she looked up the stairs, her grandmother was peeking down. And her grandma was dead for like years, like stuff like that. And after my mom told me that, I would never look up those stairs again the rest of my life that I lived there. Like, I'm totally fine with things. And then my grandma passed away, and I grew up in the house with her, and she used to knock. There used to be this pipe that would go to my room, like into downstairs, and she lived downstairs, and she used to knock with her ring on the pipe if she wanted me to come and I'll be like, what happened, Grandma? And after she died, there was a few knocks on the pipe and no one was downstairs. So like stuff like that.
Wow.
That's cute. That's not scary. That's your grandma saying hi. That's
it's my grandma, but even my dad passed away, my grandma passed away, and I still go, I love you guys to death. If you want to visit me, come in my dreams. Do not physically come in person to me because I cannot handle it. And the problem is I'm so obsessed with this stuff, but I don't want to really like witness it, but I'm obsessed with it. Like, I'll watch all the shows. I love watching like movies or like documentaries of like kids who see ghosts. My aunt's friend was a psychic. She was kind of like ghost whisperer. Like, she would like, so it was kind of like interesting, and I'm so obsessed with it, but I'm like, nope, I'm scared. I will not, like, please don't show me yourself.
Dichotomy there, but you will be happy to know that Muhammad here can confirm that sage does work to keep, scientifically speaking.
Oh yeah, no. You can see the properties of it as you burn. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I heard Palo Santo is better, but also like they were saying, like, I know some Native Americans that were like offended that I used sage, so I kind of stopped using it because they said that it's not supposed to be for us. It's like them and their heritage, so it actually doesn't work for us. So I don't know what to use anymore, but now I'll use Palo Santo, because that's a different thing, and there's a spray and stuff like that. But I don't know, because after this show, it doesn't seem like it works. They love it.
I used to burn some Palo Santo too, and my roommate said it stunk real bad back in the day, and I was like, I think it smells great. Anyway, sorry, we're in Muhammad.
It smells okay. Well, it kind of reminds me of like church when I used to go to church when I was at home.
That's funny. Well, so in terms of horror too, I saw that you were recently in some clown horror movie too.
Oh, Clown Fear.
Yeah.
Yes, I had 2 scenes in it. One really good one, and they cut that one out.
Oh.
Really good one. So it's just a movie about a clown town, and I'm just in. It's like people who dress as clowns and stuff, and they like kill the people who come into their town, kind of thing. So I had a little part in it, but I was one of the clowns. So I was the girl that was the clown that was selling cigars and cigarettes to the locals.
Can you tell us what the cool scene is, since nobody's going to see it? We should at least air it out.
The lead in it, it was like the main, like I guess you could call him like kind of like the mayor-ish of like the clown town, and he was kind of like the lead. So he was like this nasty guy. So I was like, I went to like, they have these like festivals where they show the people that they're killing. It's like very clown, like horror-y. And then I sell like cigars and cigarettes there, and he calls me over and he has this whole flirting scene with me, and then his wife comes and like kicks me, and we get into little stuff, and I leave. But it's like, it was kind of fun, and like the best part of the movie was visually, it was very good. I'm not saying how the movie was in general, but visually it was like amazing. So I was kind of bummed that it got but you could watch it. I don't know where, I forgot, but it was very fun to be a part of, and it was a horror movie.
Fear. Look it up, everybody. Clown Fear.
Don't look at the IMDb rating though.
Well, I was only in one scene, but I had 2 scenes in that one kind of, I'm in 2 scenes, but like in the one, like setting kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And they just cut the bigger, more fun one out. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know.
So you also have a pretty amazing Instagram. I was looking through that too. It's very active. A lot of great stuff. Like I think one of your most recent ones was you with a dinosaur in front of a Blockbuster.
Yeah, I went to the last Blockbuster in Oregon.
Yeah.
On my bucket list, and I got it checked off. And I decided to bring a dinosaur with me so he could go rent Jurassic Park. So I put that on my page.
Love it.
And no one was fazed. I went in and I was like, hey, would you be upset if I had like a dinosaur come in? And she was like, no, whatever. And then we went in and like everybody was just still renting videos. Like no one noticed a huge dinosaur. Like no one cared. I was like, okay.
Happens every day.
Nothing phases them.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, and then I went to the Jurassic Retreat, which if you love Jurassic Park or just dinosaurs in general, this guy made a whole thing up in Washington, and he has animatronic dinosaurs outside, and they're like, you pass by them, they move, they're like real life size. It was like the best time, the best weekend. And then inside it was very much dedicated to Jurassic Park. Like I highly recommend if anybody wants to go. Like it's the biggest. It's in Washington, Washington. It's kind of like 20-30 minutes from Portland. It's not far, but it was like the best Airbnb experience of my life. It was like, not only was there dinosaurs, there was a raptor in the back, there was triceratops, and they're animatronics. So they were real. They were real. But also the comfort inside, it was dedicated to Jurassic Park, and it was just so comfortable, clean. It was just like the best, and you just feel like you're like in the movie. It was like, I didn't want to leave, so that was pretty awesome. But,
all right,
well, your
shout out to them. I'll send you the link, so if anybody wants to get an Airbnb experience.
But your videos and pictures and stuff on Instagram are great. Definitely encourage people to follow you there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been kind of like slacking on and off, and I lost some followers, but I got to get back on it. But thank you.
You lose followers if you don't post enough in this world?
I don't know if it's that, or they're getting bored of me, or people. I've heard a lot of people are leaving Instagram now, so maybe that's it, but who knows? But I haven't been posting. So I think what happens is like you lose and you gain followers, but if you're not posting, you're not really gaining them. So you see like the loss rather than the gain kind of thing. So. But who knows? I still enjoy it, and I love doing it, and it's so fun, and I get a lot of like perks from it, and I get to meet a lot of other Jurassic Park people that don't make me feel so insane.
What's your Instagram handle?
Jurassic.Gen.
Easy to remember.
It's not Jurassic Gen because someone took Jurassic Gen and doesn't even post anything.
Oh, the real Jurassic.
I couldn't use it.
Faker. That's what she is.
I know.
Yep. Everybody at home, you guessed it. When we interviewed Jurassic Jen, she talks about dinosaurs. Who knew, right? Who would have guessed?
Hey, you guys need to watch the first Camp Cretaceous.
Hey, isn't that a cartoon or something?
Mm-hmm.
If you go back to our review of Silver Surfer, we talked about your hand modeling too. You can check that out as well.
I still keep getting like hand parts now.
Yeah.
There's one specific director that keeps hiring me and go, "Oh, we need like a hand double." I'm like, "Okay, fine."
What does he sound like when he laughs?
You tell me.
Sounds like me?
Yeah. No, you tell me how he sounds.
I think he goes.
Oh my goodness.
I snort when I laugh, so
you do, and I miss those laughs. We're gonna have to party again soon. I was thinking about that today. I think it was when I was watching this episode, but I was like, oh, I miss Jen's snort laugh because you don't just snort, but you also kind of like have this weird goose sounding gasping for air. You're like.
If you get me to a really high point of laughter where I can't control it, it's uncontrollable.
Yeah, like when we're driving back from somewhere and then we're saying really funny things and
you make me want to throw up sometimes too.
Yeah. Aww. Yeah. Uncontrollable laughters are awesome though. It doesn't matter how they sound. If you're that happy, that's the best thing.
Totally.
The happiness of laughter.
Totally.
That's why I was wondering the other day, like I was debating in my head of tickling. Like tickling looks like you're having a good time, but it's torture.
It is torture. Yeah, it's not the same. Yeah,
it's not the same. And I was thinking about that the other day. It was like it looks like it's so much fun, but it's not.
You get the person laughing and around. You're like,
oh my god, and then you're like dying inside. Like you need to stop right now. Like seriously, but it looks like you're having so much fun. It's the most craziest thing to me. But anyway, that was off a tangent. I was just thinking about laugh.
Let's move on back to ghosts because I do want to know if Muhammad's ticklish, but I guess we gotta move on.
We gotta find out.
Well, we have to wait till the next time you see me, maybe on the cruise.
And then you have to record it.
I feel like Muhammad is definitely very ticklish because when you said, Jen, it's torture, he felt that. He was like, yeah.
I did feel that.
He was like, totally. So I think he's like really ticklish, like where he's like, no, but really don't tickle me. All right. So
Bottom
He
line.
knows, though. He knows that karate chops are not ticklish. It is time for the bottom line. It is time for the terrible twos. Muhammad calls it the bottom line. He's the only one. Jen calls it the terrible twos.
No, she does. Bottom line, you're with me.
It's the final two questions of the show, everybody, the two most important questions. And they go as follows. Number one, Dr. Muhammad Noor, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode of Ghosts?
Ghosts. I would give it an 8.7. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Oh.
All right. Jen, what about you? On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode of Ghosts?
Just the first episode, I'll give it a 9.5.
Wow.
Pretty high. I loved it.
Somebody gave that number for last week's one, too. I won't say who.
Yes, everybody, last week we did our review of The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, I've actually seen that.
With our good friend, actress Kelly Park. And as Muhammad mentioned, one of us gave it a 9.5. Excellent tease, Muhammad. Who? Well, you'll just have to go check it out. It's episode 133. We just did it last week. Go check it out, and you'll see. I'll give you a hint. It wasn't me, and it wasn't Muhammad.
Well, that narrows it down.
Or was it? That's, oh boy. Ooh. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving this an 8.5.
Wow.
As soon as it ended, and it ended perfectly, at least that very, like, remember last week I kind of cried a bit about the ending, how I said the ending kind of dragged. I was like, it should have just, this gave me that thing, at least in the last few seconds.
Yeah.
And it gave me that exact thing where it just kind of did a quick scream, whatever, cut, done. Yeah. And I just kind of said to myself, because I talk to myself all the time, because I'm a great conversationalist. And that's what I practice alone. And so I was like, yeah, that was very good. 8.5. I enjoyed that. You know what I mean? Like it was a very quick and easy reaction. 8.5. I started to try to convince myself 8.6 or 8.7. And then I got into an argument with myself. I'll spare you. I'm sticking with an 8.5.
What were your counterpoints to you?
Well, the main thing was, I was like, well, no, the first thing that popped in my head was 8.5. So let's just go with that and not overcomplicate.
Change it up.
Yeah, let's relax. We can convince ourselves of anything. But that's question number one. The big one is question number two. For the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of Ghosts on Paramount Plus. But now that the podcast is over and we're free to move about the internet, Dr. Muhammad Noor, would you watch the second episode of your own volition?
I absolutely would. I have not yet, but I absolutely would. Quite happily. Do you read that, or do you have it? I'm sure you have it memorized by now.
Oh, I never read it before.
Really? You always had that memorized? Wow.
I just kind of said it once, move about the internet. It made me laugh on the inside, which is where I laugh most of the time. And so then I just said it again, just kind of rolls off the tongue.
Well, it's not just that one part, but the whole thing. The now that this podcast is over and you're free to move. Okay.
I don't know.
That's cool.
It's one of those lucky things where you say it once and it just sticks.
It's stuck. That's a good line.
Thanks. Jen, how do you feel about when I say that?
I'm sure you guys.
Would you watch the second episode?
I'm waiting for the new season to come out next month. I think it's next month. Because I already finished both seasons. And I'm waiting for the new one to come out. I think it comes out like November 5th or something. Or maybe it's coming out like soon. I don't know.
Brilliant. A show called Ghosts that premieres after Halloween.
After Halloween.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Now I'm gonna have to look it up when it comes up, once the premiere.
Well, Muhammad, did we get an answer out of that? I don't know if we
Not
did.
quite, but I think there's one implied, but we haven't quite gotten it.
Yeah, it was like she had
I already watched it all. Will I watch the second again? Maybe.
Would you?
Yes, because I already had.
Yay.
I watched it all. I watched all seasons that are out. There's
How
2
many
seasons.
seasons are out too? Okay.
Yeah.
But you could finish it in like so quick because they're so short.
Mm-hmm.
How many episodes per season?
I don't know how many episodes are there. Maybe like 10.
Okay, it's pretty short then.
I think, yeah. Season 3 of Ghost was released. What? That might be Ghost in the British Ghost.
Oh,
Enough with those British ghost
That
talk.
British season 2 next. What? I saw an episode. I saw that it said it was coming out. I saw it on a commercial. So
You're like one of those people that keep saying, yeah, but did you watch the British Office? Oh, it's so good. And no, I didn't watch the British Office.
I don't watch a lot of British shows. Like, and my friend used to watch a lot of them, and I never really like fully got into them. So like, but then there are a few that are so good, like that one and Sex Education, and like all of those. Not getting into the British shows, but
season 3 is not out. I just checked on Paramount.
No, but it's coming out. Is it coming out in November? I think, right?
Check it out, everybody. That's your homework. But we have to go.
Crowd. That's not a good British one. IT Crowd.
Oh wait, you didn't say if you were gonna. Oh, IT Crowd. I used to watch too. You didn't say if you were gonna watch it.
Oh, I thought it. Yes, I will.
Can you guys both watch the whole season so we could talk about it like off camera?
Yeah, I've already watched the first 4 episodes in my mind.
Oh no, you
say,
gotta watch
dang.
all of them. Especially if you love the characters, they get deep into all of them. And you find out how they died. You find out all that stuff. It's really cool. And not all the episodes are based on a character. Sometimes there's other special guests, but like it's really cool. They do.
I guess we found out he died, or this guy, he died by dysentery, right? I guess we heard that.
Yeah, but he has another storyline that comes into play, and then you find out about the people in the basement. There's also a really funny episode with one of the characters in the basement.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Well,
so it's really good.
That guy did die of dysentery, but we find out later it was actually datentery. You thought it was dysentery, but it's the whole thing. It's a very funny episode. Everybody.
Even Thorfinn has like a story that you would never even imagine, and Trevor too. So it's really cool. Like you have to watch it.
Okay, we'll watch it maybe. Gosh,
watch it already.
We already said we would. So that's 3 yeses from us, everybody.
Love fest.
Easy yeses, right, Mohammed? I mean,
oh yeah, very easy.
It was chill. It was easy. It was enjoyable. It's fun. It's everything you want in a show. Not very horror, but
I know. Thank you for giving me this show so I don't get scared at night.
Oh my God, I love this show, she says. Okay. So we got to run, everybody. That's it. If you'd like us to review a show, in the comments below, just type WTF and that show. It could be any show. It could be comedy, sci-fi, fantasy, cartoons. We love cartoons because those are quick and easy and fun. And you watch them on a Saturday morning eating your Cheerios, like back in the day. So please do that and like and subscribe and give us a nice rating. And we will see you next week. Special thanks to Jennifer Durst, Jurassic Jen. She talks about dinosaurs. She acts and stuff. She
only went on Jurassic Jen.
Follow her on Instagram.
Yeah. Thanks.
And so what I'm trying to say is that this podcast was insert Halloween pun.
This podcast was a love fest for a not very horror-ish show.
This podcast was an agreeable podcast. We've all come to agreement on this podcast of how great. Yes.
Oh, sorry. So anyway, everybody, remember what Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg always likes to say.
Don't forget to be an organ donor, and don't forget to watch the first of things.
What? Freeze frame like you're a ghost.
Shitty smile.